we've talked about the primaries. We don't know who is going to win the Pennsylvania primary for the Republicans. I think Fetterman matches up well with both of them. The question is which one of these two guys depresses the vote more in Pennsylvania.
But frankly, the fact that this is going so long and could lead to a runoff, right, Bradley? That's the case.
Or a recount. I'll double check, but I think it's within 0.5% statewide.
I'm getting confused between like the statewide policy and the whatever. But the either way, the longer that this drags out, the better it is for Fetterman.
It chews up money on their end, right? Yes. They're spending money on the recount. None of them can pivot to the general election yet. And I don't know. Like McCormick obviously has got some liabilities in terms of matching up with Fetterman because he's a hedge funder. But Oz is also just sort of some rich dude. They're both carpetbaggers. I don't even think they live in Pennsylvania. Does either one of them live in Pennsylvania?
So Oz definitely hasn't. He lived in New Jersey for a long time and now is declaring residency in his vacation home in PA.
And McCormick's from Connecticut.
He's not. Neither of them are from the state.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. I should have thrown my hat into the ring. Should have run in the Republican primary.
Should have, Sam.
But here is Oz, and I just. The idea that this could be a winning formula for anywhere in the country is pretty stunning. Here he is on Newsmax, shoring up the base with Greg Kelly.
Fetterman has won statewide in Pennsylvania. He's got that going for him. He is a big...
Pause it. And he also has that he lives in Pennsylvania. He's got that going for him.
Yeah.
He's actually in the state, lives in the state.
Lives in the state and has won statewide office as lieutenant governor there, and was mayor of the state, and, just generally...
In the state.
Or in the state, yeah.
He doesn't dress like a normal politician. He's always wearing hoodies and he wears shorts.
Shaking his head.
He wants to legalize marijuana, I believe, which essentially, quite frankly, seems to be legal. What is your stance on that, by the way, marijuana?
There are not enough Pennsylvanians to work in Pennsylvania. So giving them pot so they stay home is not, I don't think, an ideal move. I also don't want to breed addiction to marijuana. It's not physical addiction, it's emotional addiction. But I don't want young people to think they have to smoke a joint to get out of their house in the morning. We need to get Pennsylvanians...
Wait, pause it for one second. Wait a second. So let's just be clear on the impacts of marijuana. On one hand, it keeps people inside.
Right.
On the other hand, it gets people outside. And that's why they need to smoke to get outside.
No, but they can go outside without the joint if they so choose. But he's saying he doesn't even want that to be an entertained thought in their head.
I mean,
both keeps them lazy and gets them outside.
This guy's just said to all people who smoke pot in Pennsylvania, which I imagine is not just Democrats.
No.
You guys are just like loserless. You're just losers who don't want jobs. And he's just saying, and I want you to just note this, there's not enough workers in Pennsylvania. Okay, that's what's important too.
The two things like labor coercion and policing people's private lives and how they entertain themselves, he combined them into one talking point there.
That's
and
good.
I'm also just really fascinated by the anchor. Was that Kelly, right?
Yeah.
Kelly saying, well, it's basically legal already. Then why do you care?
Right.
Good question to ask him, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just remember, this is important for later in the piece here, not enough workers in Pennsylvania.
There are not enough Pennsylvanians to work in Pennsylvania. So giving them pot so they stay home is not, I don't think, an ideal move. I also don't want to breed addiction to marijuana. It's not physical addiction, it's emotional addiction. But I don't want young people to think they have to smoke a joint to get out of their house in the morning. We need to get Pennsylvanians back at work. You got to give them their mojo. And I don't want marijuana to be a hindrance to that. I also don't want people operating heavy machinery and driving by me when they've been taking their fourth joint of the day. But there are other issues that are plaguing Pennsylvanians. We're a border state practically, right? Because they're flying illegal immigrants up here from the border in the middle of the night, these night flights, but they're also getting their narcotics up here really easily. And
all right. So let's just be clear here. There's not enough Pennsylvanians to work the jobs in Pennsylvania. And if you gave them pot, then even more people would quit their jobs, presumably, just to hang out and smoke pot because I guess you would eat the pot, you would use it as currency. But at the same time, then there's a problem with them flying in immigrants in the middle of the night because presumably they're going to do what? Take the jobs from the Pennsylvanians who are not enough to actually work? Like, they need workers in Pennsylvania. So what's the problem with immigrants? He has to tack quickly to they're bringing drugs. Yeah. I've got news for you, folks. To the extent that the Department of Homeland Security or Immigration is flying in immigrants from the border, they are not in the middle of the night into Pennsylvania. They're not also in the cargo hold like, hey, everybody, if you've got illicit drugs, put it in the cargo hold and we'll give it to you when we land. That's not happening. But he realizes he's in a fix here. You can't both have, there's not enough people to work in Pennsylvania to do the jobs that we need in Pennsylvania, and there's a problem with immigration unless you just have a problem with immigrants.
Yep.
Like that there's no implications to it that are impacting Pennsylvanians' lives, except for the fact that like nobody wants to be around immigrants. And it's even tougher to say that when your name is Oz and you've got the accent he does, because he's also an immigrant and one from out of Pennsylvania.
Yes, he's a statewide immigrant as well. Yeah, I mean, one, it's just, then he also contradicts himself multiple times there about, one, it's keeping people home and keeping them away from work. And two, we don't want people driving forklifts after their fourth joint of the day.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just...
You're much better driving a forklift after you've had a couple of shots of whiskey and maybe down a little gin.
How about, I'm fine with neither, I guess. I mean, actually, I'd much prefer if you smoked a joint and then drove a forklift, frankly.
No, there should be no use of heavy machinery. That's not in that is, no one's making that legally.
Yeah, besides the point, right? One, they start off this segment by criticizing Fetterman's hoodie wearing, and then they begin to critique smoking pot. Like, what? I'm becoming more and more convinced by the second that he's the best candidate to go up against Fetterman versus the...
How elite could you be? Like, say,
yes,
it might be nice if we could stop the police from arresting you from smoking pot, but you need to get your ass to work.
Right.
It's nuts. I mean, I think that's highly...
I hope he makes that, like, his number one platform position, anti-pot. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, Oz seems to me, but I think maybe we need to dig into McCormick a little bit more to see how bad he is, too, because I get the feeling he's incredibly boring.
And I'm sure that Oz and Kelly and all of them have had their fair share of 3 martini lunches in New York City, some things like that.
And I think something that Weigel said on Tuesday was interesting about McCormick is that he's kind of potentially deploying the Youngkin playbook in the sense of, like, you know, I'm approachable, I wear a vest, I'm like a, suburban dad type of thing, and yet he's obviously like very much a fascist, probably for all intents and purposes.